One of the first things I remember checking was just how long it would take to drive to Virginia. It wasn't a quick car trip, but a whole lot better than a plane ride. So being closer to Janet was the biggest plus of all. Janet came right away to visit. Another time she had a dog show near Poughkeepsie, so the boys and I drove over to see Aunt Janet show her dogs. The deerhounds, they're such showstoppers. The boys loved seeing Aunt Janet's dogs, always wishing they could have one. In 2006, I invited all the family to come to Connecticut for Thanksgiving. Janet and Bud came, as did Cheryl, Casey, and her family. We had a great time. It had been a long time since we had been with family for a holiday. It felt right. The following Thanksgiving, Janet invited everyone to her cabin. So Brian, the boys, and I headed down. Again, it felt so right to have family to spend the holidays with. We even recruited one of her deerhounds to play the role of Rudolph on our Christmas card that year. So we began a tradition that year. My family would travel to Virginia, or Janet and Bud would travel to Connecticut to spend the holiday with us. We had family to spend the holiday, something neither one of us had had. This past Thanksgiving, it was looking like Janet wouldn't be able to get together with us. She was still recovering from the Whipple, along with the chemo and the radiation, and I was afraid our coming down would be too much, and I didn't think she'd be able to take the long car ride to Connecticut. But as Thanksgiving got closer, Janet rebounded, and had some more energy, and announced they would come to Connecticut. We were so excited. It meant the world to us. I even went to a German restaurant that Janet had spotted on the way down from Danbury. This may not seem like a lot, but German restaurants are restaurants that vegetarians typically go to eat at. It made Janet so happy, which made us so happy. With this Thanksgiving just around the corner, it's going to be very hard, and Janet will be greatly missed. We're hoping Bud will still consider making the journey to Connecticut, because we would love to have him. I always felt there was a reason to why we had to leave our home and move to Connecticut. There was some greater good taking place. I just couldn't figure it out. What I didn't know was that Janet's story had been written, and it had an ending none of us were going to like. So to make up for that, Janet and myself and my family were given 7 years. 7 years to reconnect and grow closer. 7 years for her and Bud to get to know my boys and for them to know their aunt. I love that we were closer and able to visit more freely and more often. I got to know my sister so much better than if I had been a plane ride away. I cherish all my memories and all we did together. Being closer makes it harder to say goodbye, but I wouldn't change any of it. When Janet was told a mass was growing on her pancreas, my world shattered that day. I remember it vividly. I knew I would be losing my sister, and that broke me to my very core. Janet handled her diagnosis and all she went through and endured with such dignity and such bravery. She didn't let it stop her in her tracks. She raised her head high and forged the fight onward. She lived her life her way and tried to do as much as she could. She was still making plans and still buying stuff to the very end. She wasn't going to be laying around wasting one moment. Janet was a true friend for all. She never had a bad thing to say about anyone. She viewed life in the positive. She was such a great lady. Proof of that is evident in how many lives she touched and inspired. She worked to pass along her great talents to others and enjoyed seeing them succeed. Deerhounds were her life's passion. I regret not knowing this part of her life better. However, in reading all the comments the deerhound community has written since her passing, I see what I have missed. I am so thankful she had so many friends in the deerhound community, so many people that loved her and appreciated all she did. Her passing leaves such a void. I know in the early hours of August 20th, there was a thunderous roll from the heavens above as the deerhounds that passed before Janet caught scent as they play in the field. And after a moment of their eyes focused forward, they saw her and ran with such joy, bounding to her to greet her and cross the rainbow bridge with her. What could be more beautiful for such a beautiful lady than to be met by her trusted deerhounds to spend eternity together? Her radiant smile now lights up the night sky as stars, telling us that their journey is now complete and that they are happy once again with Janet at the lead.
I'm sorry, we have more family.
I'm Pam. I'm Janet's oldest niece. And I have an email written by Marianne Rose, who I'm sure all of you know. She's also a radiation oncologist. It took me all day to be able to sit down and compose myself. I deal with cancer patients all day, every day, with a smile and encouragement. But when it hits close to home, well, that is something else entirely. My outside is smiling, but my inside comes unglued. But words are important, and I have something to say. Janet Porter faced her cancer with the same attitude and spirit she faced every challenge in life. Whether it was a dog show, pesky neighbors, real estate tribulations, major snowstorms and power outages, the ending of one career and the start of what was to be a happy retirement, she stood up when others would have simply lain down. She decided how to live her life with cancer, and then she just did it. To undergo a Whipple procedure for pancreatic cancer is to undergo the most challenging operation known to man. And she embraced it because to be operable with that disease was a chance to be cured. She likewise embraced the chemotherapy and radiation that followed, and she did it her way. I spoke to her after her diagnosis and urged her to seek out the most aggressive and experienced surgeons, medical oncologists, and radiation oncologists in the world, to go to MD Anderson, Sloan Kettering, Johns Hopkins, but Janet elected, and rightly so, since it would not have made a difference, to stay in her own community and to be amongst her family, her friends, and her beloved dear homes. So many of my own patients are so angry. Life is unfair. They did everything right, and they are boiling over with resentment. They take it out on the staff, their spouses, their best friends. That's how I would be, I'm quite sure of it. If Janet was angry, I never saw it or knew it. What I saw was a smiling Janet, a beautiful Janet, who despite her difficulty eating, her weakened immune system, and her pain, got out there and did things. If Facebook is any indication, Janet went places, saw the people that mattered to her, and gave it her all, and made sure every last minute counted for something. As a result, she has left hundreds, if not thousands, of people bereft. She had told me in January or February that she would like to come out to Lompoc this past July for the 25th anniversary of the Western Regional. Sadly, it was not to be because of her relapse. Janet, we miss you. The most telling thing I can say about Janet happened just this past Saturday, 2 days ago, which would have been August 18th. I had emailed her to tell her of Catherine Doyle's illness, since Catherine runs the SDCA Futurity, making it the Deerhound Club's business. At the end of my email, I asked her, Janet, and how are you doing? Is your chemo going well? Have you had pain relief? Janet wrote me back immediately, expressing great concern for Catherine, requesting updates, making sure I knew and could tell Catherine not to worry about the club business. I only realized this morning when I heard the news that she has said not one word about herself and her own illness. I call that kindness. I call that courage. Rest in peace, Janet. We all know you had much company waiting for you at the bridge. Marianne.
Hello, I'm Kelsey. I'm Cheryl's daughter and also Janet's goddaughter. This is a poem that Bud selected. A ship sails and I stand watching till she fades on the horizon, and someone at my side says, she is gone. Gone where? Gone from my sight, that is all. She is just as large now as when I last saw her. Her diminished size and total loss from my sight is in me, not in her. And just at that moment, when someone at my side says she is gone, there are others who are watching her come over their horizon, and other voices take up a glad shout, there she comes, and that is dying. And now I'm going to read the Rainbow Bridge poem, a poem I'm sure everyone is familiar with. That's really appropriate. Just this side of heaven is a place called the Rainbow Bridge. When an animal dies that has been especially close to someone here, that pet goes to the Rainbow Bridge. There are meadows and hills for all of our special friends, so they can run and play together. There's plenty of food, water, and sunshine, and our friends are warm and comfortable. All the animals who had been ill and old are restored to health and vigor. Those who were hurt or maimed are made whole and strong again, just as we remember them in our dreams of days and times gone by. The animals are happy and content, except for one small thing. They each missed someone very special to them, who had to be left behind. They all run and play together, but the day comes when one suddenly stops and looks into the distance. His bright eyes are intent, his eager body quivers, and suddenly he begins to run from the group, flying over the green grass, his legs carrying him faster and faster. You have been spotted, and when you and your special friend finally meet, you cling together in joyous reunion, never to be parted again. The happy kisses rain upon your face, your hands again caress the beloved head. You look once more into the trusting eyes of your pet, so long gone from your life, but never absent from your heart. And then you cross the rainbow bridge together.
I'm Rachel, I'm Lisa's daughter, and this is a poem from my grandparents, Janet's parents. Oh, we'll wait for them. Okay, I was told I can't cry, so I'm not gonna cry. We can't tell you, dearest Janet, how many tears we've cried since the day we were told our precious daughter had died. It seems impossible, although we know it's true, because everything we see reminds us of you. We still hear your laughter, see the smile on your face. We would have lost our sanity if not for God's saving grace. We have to close this now, but this is not goodbye, for you will forever walk softly in our hearts and in our minds. Love, Mother and Father.
All right. I have a message from Riley, Janet's nephew. He sent Carolyn and I an email last night, as only a 9-year-old can do. He said, "I thought you'd like to read this. I thought of it when you were saying your speech, Mom, so this is what I thought of. Janet only took a step away from where she was and left a note saying that she took a step away. We should not try to find her. We should try to find her, but not to try to find her until we pass, because it is impossible to find her before we pass."
I'm Charlie, Janet's father. One thing we set in our family was that all our meals would be together. Supper, dinner, breakfast. That way we could discuss family problems and whatnot. There was a movie playing at our local theater that was R-rated. And the girls were all upset because I wouldn't let them go to an R-rated movie. They said, "This is just like a dictatorship." I said, "What do you mean a dictatorship? It's a democracy." "No," you tell us what we're going to do and that's going to be it. We don't get any say." I said, "Well," "all those that want to go see the movie, raise your right hand." 4 hands went up. I said, "Okay, now those opposed, raise their hand." 2 hands went up. I said, "Well, there you have it. It's unanimous. We don't go." "What do you mean it's unanimous? It was 4-2. I says, "No," I said, "it was 2-0. I said, "You girls aren't old enough to vote." John?
Okay. Fearless. Janet loved life. She embraced it. And if you've ever seen Janet show 6 dogs at one show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. She was fearless. Her love of life was contagious. It made us all want to do more, be better, and enjoy every moment, just as she did. Janet was extremely knowledgeable and generously shared that knowledge and her time with her friends and strangers alike. We have often referred to her as our go-to girl for an answer to just about any question. Yet she never hesitated to ask me my opinion and advice. She valued her friends, and she treated everyone with respect. She was so resourceful, jokingly, I called her MacGyver. I think she liked that. Her kindness was legendary. Always a kind word or thought, and perhaps that is why her